that's where I met you.
Yeah.
And what would you say was the will of God for those 8 years? How did God use you to mentor that church?
I think
the pastorate, I should say.
The pastorate, yeah. I think there was, boy, we did a lot in those 8 years. We did a lot in those 8 years. I think probably some of the most exciting stuff we did in those 8 years had to do, for me, with listening prayer, like helping people truly learn what it means to listen and to discern God's invitation for us corporately as a body, but for us individually as followers of Jesus. Like, that was extremely important, and that was just really incredible. The other thing that really took place there that was really healing was that we saw diversity grow in that church. That was just phenomenal. The parsonage was about a mile away from the church, and I would walk back and forth. And it was clear as I was walking through the neighborhood that the church did not represent the neighborhood. You know, we were probably a 90%, 95% white congregation in a neighborhood that was just very diverse and growing more diverse. And so I started to pray as I would walk back and forth. Just, God, help our congregation reflect the neighborhood. And there was a Sunday where we were receiving new people into membership, and it wasn't until I was halfway down the line shaking hands. There was like 14 people we were receiving into membership that Sunday. And it was like, oh, God, you answered. Thank you. You're right. You know, and it was just like, wow, okay, now, okay. All right, so you're starting to answer our prayers, or my prayer. And then coming as a result of that, we started to do very intentional conversations around race and how do you bring the community together. And we would have dinners with a very diverse group of people, age-wise, ethnically, and share our lives and share faith. And yeah, some of it was just amazing. Really good transformative stuff.
Can you think of one story in that experience that really answers Jesus's prayer for unity? Jesus prayed that the church would be one, that we would be united. So can you think of one story that kind of is an answer to that prayer?
Yeah. So Church in the Acres is a white flight church. They used to be First Baptist down, in downtown Springfield, and a group of people left to start a church in the Acres, which is the neighborhood in Springfield. And a part of why they left is because their neighborhood was changing and they didn't like it. And Alden Baptist Church took over the building of First Baptist in downtown Springfield. Alden Baptist is an all-black congregation. Reverend Cofield is a good friend of mine, and he was the pastor of Alden Baptist Church at the time. And so as Pastor Cofield and I were friends, and as Church in the Acres was going through its transformation as who they were, we started to do watch night services together. And
what's a watch night service? So people who would not be familiar.
So historically, the original watch night service was held by African American churches when they were watching for that time when they would be free. They were in slavery, and then there was that time when they would be free. And so they were gathered in their churches waiting for the clock to strike midnight, because after 12:01 they were free people. And so that's what the original watch night service was. Over the years, right, we've kind of lost some of that meaning, or some of the Anglo churches have taken that service, and we've taken it and said, well, watch night is when you go from one year to the next year, right? It's waiting for the new year to come. And so we did it on New Year's, but we had Pastor Williams get up and talk about, or Pastor Cofield rather, get up and talk about the history, and teach, listen, this is what watch night is all about. Watch night is powerful. On this, 11:59, you're in captivity. 12:01, you are free. And man, there's power in that, right? There's power. Yes. There's power in that, and understanding that, and celebrating that, and living that. And then we shared a meal together that celebrated the heritage, the ethnic heritage of everybody who was there. Everybody brought what was traditional for them to celebrate New Year's with. Wow. And talk about a meal, man. We ate. Well, and it was great, and we did that a couple of times. We did it at Church in the Acres, we did it down at Alden Baptist, and we alternated, and it was just a beautiful thing, Kingdom of God, right? Cross churches, cross ethnic boundaries, cross what used to be, really quite divisive, restorative, transformative, beautiful. Wow.